Okay, so today we are going to be doing a read aloud to the story, Who Was a Daring Pioneer of the Skies? Amelia Earhart. So this is for 5th grade. The book's grade level is 3rd to 5th grade. The genre is nonfiction, and it is about Amelia Earhart. So we're going to start with a picture walk. As we look at the pictures in this book, I want you guys to think about what this book is really about. Okay, so you can see the front. We see a woman with an airplane. Okay. We see a woman talking to the press. Okay. We see a plane taking off with a huge crowd. Oh no, we see a plane crash. Uh-oh, that doesn't look too good, does it? Oh, we see a map. Okay. What else? Oh, we see people looking panicked. I wonder what they can be panicked about. So can anyone tell me what they think this book is about? Yes, so the book is about Amelia Earhart's journey and what happened to her. So I think you're all going to really enjoy learning about the first woman to conquer flying around the world. Okay, so who was a daring pioneer of the skies? Introduction. Amelia Earhart was born on July 24th, 1897, into a well-to-do family in the small town of Atchison, Kansas. From an early age, she loved adventure. Her hobbies included climbing trees, hunting, collecting insects, and building makeshift roller coasters on the roof of her family's tool shed. While Amelia was growing up, the field of flying airplanes, known as aviation, was also beginning to take off. Early aviation pioneers in both Europe and the United States experimented with small aircraft called gliders throughout the 1890s. In 1903, the Wright brothers pulled off the first successful powered airplane flight, traveling just 120 feet over the sand dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. By 1915, airplanes were sophisticated enough that entire battles could be fought in the air during World War I. After the war, many of those World War I military aviators became stunt pilots, performing dives and barrel rolls at fairs all over the United States. In 1920, one such former World War I pilot let Amelia ride in his plane as a passenger for 10 minutes. And she was immediately hooked. She began saving up money for flying lessons. Once she began flying, it didn't take long for Amelia to start setting records. By 1922, she held the unofficial record for the highest altitude reached by a woman pilot. In 1928, she became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic as a passenger. And in 1932, she became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic as a solo pilot. Wow, isn't that cool? From then on, she was a household name. Amelia accomplished all this even though at the time, many people believed that women should not be pilots at all. So rude. Because aviation was such a difficult and dangerous occupation, people thought only men could do it. Amelia made it her life's work to oppose this idea and to prove that this way of thinking was sexist and wrong. As Amelia's fame grew, her aviation career was managed with the help of her husband, G.P. Putman. G.P. was a savvy businessman. He knew how to make his wife an aviation celebrity and then how to turn that fame into profit. He kept Amelia busy writing books, delivering lectures, and endorsing products, many of which were not related to aviation at all, such as watches, chewing gum, tomato juice, and cigarettes. In 1937, Amelia was in the middle of cooking up plans for a new record-setting flight. First, she would need a lot of money to complete the trip. If she was successful, though, both she and GP knew they could make a fortune off of her increased fame. Just as importantly to Amelia, if she made it all the way around the globe. She would help show the whole world that women were capable of great feats in aviation. And Amelia never backed down from a challenge. Okay, so this is the first page. Okay, so we kind of see Amelia talking to the press. So February 12th, 1937, Hotel Barclay, New York City. So Amelia, thank you for joining me here. I'm very pleased to finally announce what will be my newest venture. This March, I will become the first person to ever fly around the entire globe. Pressman, didn't Willie Post and Charles Kingsford Smith and a bunch of other pilots already do that? Amelia, yes, but unlike those men, I'll be flying around the globe at the equator, a much longer route. Press, who will be flying with you, Amelia? I'll have Paul Mates as my co-pilot, as well as 2 top-notch navigators, Fred Noonan and Captain Harry Manning. And back to press. What do you say to your critics who think women are better off baking pies, not flying planes? I'd say I know plenty of women who'd be much better off flying planes, and a great many men who'd be much better off baking pies. Amelia, will you be writing a new book about your around-the-world trip? I'll leave that question to my husband, GP. So Fred Noonan, Captain Harry Manning, and Paul Mates. Fred Noonan, Captain Harry Manning, and Paul Mates were 3 pilots who served as Amelia Earhart's longtime trusted crew members. Fred Noonan began his career as a sailor, working first on British merchant ships and then joining the Merchant Marine. In 1930, he earned his pilot's license and began a new career in aviation, working for the airline Pan Am. In 1937, he agreed to fly with Amelia Earhart on her around-the-world trip as one of her navigators. Captain Harry Manning was a highly experienced aviator, mariner, and navigator, and an officer for the U.S. Navy Reserve. Manning was the only member of the 4-person flight crew who was skilled as a radio operator, an important navigation tool. Paul Mates was a famous air racing pilot and stunt pilot, and someone who tutored Amelia when she was still learning how to fly and navigate long-distance trips. He accompanied Amelia on her first of 2 attempts to fly around the world. Okay. Now this is Amelia's husband. She most certainly will be, and even better, you can purchase a limited edition, one-of-a-kind stamp cover signed by Amelia, which will fly around the world with her. There are only 5,000, and they'll go fast. Buy one today. Don't wait. Sign my book. Sign my book. Sign my arm. I'm saving up for flying lessons so I can be a pilot like you. That's wonderful. You know, I did the exact same thing when I was young. I saved my pennies while working as a truck driver. Would you like an autograph too? No ma'am, I'm Joseph Gurr. I installed the new communication system on your airplane. I've been trying to reach you. I still need to train you on all that new equipment, teach you how to make bearings, use the radio direction finder, contact other radio operators. Otherwise, you'll have a real hard time reaching anyone if something goes wrong. Of course, don't worry, we'll get to that. I'm just a little busy at the moment is all. March 17th, 1937, Oakland, California. I've made all the arrangements. You'll have full provisions waiting for you at all these stops. And I've gotten permission from all the heads of state for you to fly through their airspace. Some of them really took some convincing. You're the best, you know. Got enough tomato juice for the flight? Beech Nut sent a whole crate. I'll just stick with my thermos. We're already carrying far too much weight as is. Don't forget these. Right. Those. These are going to eat up a lot of space in the fuselage. They also are paying for a lot of fuel, so stash them somewhere safe. I'll make Fred sit on them. You will not. Hey, stay safe out there, okay? I always do. And don't forget to mail me detailed notes at every stop for the next book. Yes, sir. Hey, JP, What are you gonna do all alone in the house while I'm gone? I thought maybe I'd finally learn how to bake a pie. I'd like that. And here she is taking off. And there's GP in the crowd. She ever finish up that equipment training with you, Joe? Not enough. Uh-oh. She never finished the equipment training of her radio. We'll see how that turns out. 3 days later, Honolulu, Hawaii. And that is her crashed plane. Are you okay? I'm fine, just a few sparks. What about the others? Harry and Fred are okay. You all made it out. Paul wants to talk to you. I think he's inside. What happened? You took off just fine, but then went straight into the ground loop and skidded halfway across the runway. A tire blew is all. It must be all that extra weight we're carrying. Don't worry, we're about to lighten the load. Sorry, Amelia. Paul and I won't be continuing on. Good luck to you and Fred. Harry, Paul, wait! Oh no! So she's lost 2 of her crew members and crashed her plane. What's gonna happen? Amelia, is the trip canceled then? Are you throwing in the towel? Absolutely not. This is nothing but a temporary setback. A little while later. The plane's getting repaired, but everything's completely fine. So we'll have to wait a couple of months before we can try again, and the new plane is to fly east this time instead of west because of the summer weather patterns. Okay. I just need you to call all those countries again and tell them about the new plan, arrange all the permissions we need to fly, and reschedule all our stops. Okay? Of course. Thank you, darling. Fred sends his love. Love you too. He looks rather tired, doesn't he? Hello, this is GP Putman. I need you to put my call through to Puerto Rico, please. June 1st, 1937, Miami, Florida. So I'm happy to announce without any further ado, Fred and I will be setting off again on our globe-trotting venture, this time heading east from right here in Miami. Mr. Noonan, are you at all concerned for your safety after Miss Earhart crashed the plane in Honolulu? Well, first off, that incident was just a mechanical failure, not a pilot error. Sure it was. And if I'm honest, I got myself into a nasty car crash since then. My wife can't wait for me to leave the ground for the relative safety of the air. Miss Earhart, what are your plans for after this trip? Any other aviation records you want to set? Truth be told, after this, I'm eager to get back to Purdue. What I'd really like to do is set up sort of a tinkering space, a place where young folks of any gender could come fiddle with machines and get hands-on instruction about mechanics and engineering. As for aviation records, I bet there are tons of young women pilots out there ready to take them on and show us all how it's done, even better than I can. Now, onward with our flight. Here she is, taking off yet again. Okay. Dear GP, you ordered me to send you detailed notes along the way during this trip, so here I am, sending you notes. Everything has been going just wonderfully this time around, and the flying laboratory is performing beautifully. Amelia's flying laboratory. In order to make it all the way around the world, Amelia would need a top-notch airplane, but a plane that good would be expensive. Amelia managed to convince Purdue University to donate $50,000 and give her a shiny new silver and red Lockheed 10E Electra. There you can see the plane there. Purdue thought Amelia's flight around the world would in fact be important aeronautical research, a field study the school was interested in. To assist in her research, Purdue outfitted the Electra with a lot of extra scientific equipment, like empty canisters so Amelia could take samples of air during her flight and bring them back for analysis in Purdue's labs. Amelia also had her plane outfitted with a few other modifications, such as room for extra fuel tanks, so the plane could travel longer distances without stopping. Because of all the research equipment aboard, Amelia nicknamed her airplane a flying laboratory. So this is her continued notes to GP, her husband. The weather has been very kind to us so far. I'm living off my usual in-flight diet of tomato juice and hot cocoa. Ew. And don't worry, your precious 5,000 stamp covers are all doing just fine. Fred's doing magnificently as navigator and is a real help to me. You wouldn't believe how hard it is to spot some of these tiny local runways in the middle of the jungle. But the welcome we've received has always been wonderfully warm. Everywhere we go, people try to give us gifts, especially food. Everyone must think I'm starving the way I've been living off tomato juice in the air. It's hard to refuse them, but we have to watch the plane's weight so carefully. We've had to make a couple of small repairs, but it's tough. All the local nuts and bolts come in different sizes than the American ones our plane needs. We've gotten rid of some equipment we haven't ended up needing. Long wire radio antennas and such. Seems kind of important, doesn't it? Purdue definitely packed way too much stuff in this flying laboratory of theirs. Every 6 pounds we shed is another gallon of fuel we can keep. We'll be in LAE soon. Then it's time for the hardest leg of the journey, the trip to Holland. A tiny speck of an island in the middle of the Pacific. Try not to worry too much about us, though, dear. We've made it through the worst. And there's her flying. Okay. Holland Island, July 2nd, 1937, at 5 a.m. There's some men waiting on a boat for Amelia. Holland Island is a tiny uninhabited coral island in the Pacific Ocean, nearly halfway between Australia and Hawaii. So here you can see a map. There's Australia. Where's that? Oh, the island is about 2 miles long and half a mile wide, with just barely enough room to build a runway. Because such a tiny island would be incredibly difficult to spot from the air, a ship called the USCGC Itasca was waiting for Amelia near the island, ready to help her navigate her way across the ocean. What time is she supposed to arrive? Probably not for a while. It's at least 18 hours from LAE to here. Think she signed my arm? You ninny. Itasca, this is KHAKQQ. About 400 miles out, partly cloudy here. KHAQQ, this is Itasca. We read you loud and clear. Strange, because she isn't responding. 6:14 a.m. Itasca, this is KHAQQ. Want bearing, will whistle in mic. KHAQQ, this is Itasca. We read you. Do you copy? Try to get a bearing on her on the radio direction finder, will ya? The radio direction finder. Before GPS, many pilots navigated via a radio direction finder, RDF. These direction finders were a loop antenna, which could be turned in a circle to search for signals broadcast by radio stations on certain frequencies. Radio signals would come in strongest when the loop antenna was lined up with them, and the weakest when the loop antenna was turned 90 degrees away from them. The RDF operator would turn the antenna and listen for the weakest signals, also called a null, which were the easiest and most accurate ones to hear. Once they found those null signals, they would know the radio station transmittedly the beacon was 90 degrees away, and they could point their plane in that direction. Both the Electra and the USCGC Itasca had an RDF, with the operator listening on one side of the frequency and the pilot listening on the other. I'm not getting anything. She must be broadcasting on a different frequency than the one she said she used. Well, keep trying. Darn it, she stopped. Itasca, this is San Francisco Coast Guard. Have you made contact with Miss Earhart yet? We've heard her, but we're not sure she's hearing us. She hasn't responded to you? Not yet. Well, keep trying. 6:45 a.m. Please take bearing on us and report in a half hour. I will make noise and microphone about 100 miles out. KHAQQ, this is Itasca. Do you copy? Ugh. Sir, what else can we try? You, run down to the boiler room and tell them to start everything up and running. I want us sending up the biggest plumes of smoke we can make, in case she sees them. You, get every spare man you can find up on deck with binoculars to look for her. You, just keep sending the letter A. She might be able to use it to get a bearing on us. And you, just keep trying. anytime she makes a noise. 7:42 a.m. We must be on you but cannot see you, but gas is running low. Been unable to reach you by radio. Listen to how clear that signal is. She must be right outside. There he is running up. Has anyone seen her? Not yet. Is she here? Just keep looking. 7:58 a.m. We are circling but cannot hear you. We received your signals but unable to get a minimum. Please take bearing on us. 8:45 a.m. We are on the line 157337. We'll repeat message. We are running on line north and south. She sounds frightened. How much fuel does she have left? Sir, what should we do? Get every spare boat ready. We're going to have to search the water for her. Oh no. So, it sounds like she can radio to them, but for some reason, she can't hear them on the radio. Do you think her skipping back here? Where is that at? Where was that at? Do you think her skipping the training of the new equipment could be a cause of this? Okay. This just in. We've just received news that Amelia Earhart has vanished somewhere over the Pacific Ocean near Holland Island while attempting to set a new record for flying around the world. A search and rescue mission is now underway, but no word has been heard from the famous pilot since July 2nd at 8:45 a.m. This is a newspaper headline. FDR calls off search for missing pilot. She could still be out there, though. I know my wife. She survived plenty of other crashes before. Just keep looking. I'll cover the costs as long as I can. Whatever it takes, I'll find the money somehow. Mail, sir. More sympathy cards. Everyone's so quick to assume. Yes, sir. Also, we got 3 more calls from strangers with homemade radio antennas rigged up in their backyards, claiming to have heard some sort of message from Miss Earhart on it, as well as 4 self-proclaimed psychic mediums who say they've communicated with her. So psychic mediums are people who can speak to the dead. Should I tell them you're busy? What? Of course not. Put them all through immediately. November 1937. And that's why I'm very excited to announce a new book, collecting Amelia Earhart's writing, documenting her thrilling adventures as she flew around the entire world earlier this year. This book is sure to make a perfect Christmas gift for any of the Amelia Earhart fans in your family. Pre-orders are available right here, and I'm happy to take any questions about the book. Yeah, I got a question for you. What sort of man tries to squeeze a profit out of his own wife's death? January 5th, 1939. Amelia Earhart finally declared dead. Sir, there's a letter for you? It's from Miss Earhart, sir. Throw it out. I've had my fill of hoaxes. This one's postmarked from LAE, though. Day before she disappeared. My dear GP, we hit some stormy weather on this leg of our journey, as is bound to happen eventually on any long-distance flight. Flying through a storm, it looks like the clouds are weeping on the jungle below you, and you can barely see more than a few yards ahead. But how wonderful to remember in such moments the nearness of blue skies overhead, to know that all I need to do is tilt my plane up just a little bit further, and soon enough, I'll emerge into sunlight. Conclusion. Many theories have been proposed that try to explain what happened to Amelia. Some people think she crashed her plane on a different island and possibly lived there for a short while, though no conclusive evidence of this has been found. Some people believe she may have been captured by the Japanese military and taken prisoner, but this belief was most likely a result of rising tensions between the United States and Japan in the years leading up to World War II. In fact, Japan helped the United States search for Amelia after her disappearance. In 1970, an author named Joe Kloss wrote a book claiming that Amelia Earhart was living in New Jersey under the pseudonym Irene Bolam, but this was quickly disputed by Irene Bolam herself, who certainly was not Amelia Earhart. Many historians believe Amelia ran out of fuel while looking for Holen Island and her plane crashed somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. The plane has not been found because it would have sunk, and it's not easy to find a very small plane in the middle of a very large and very deep ocean. Many other planes and ships have been lost the same way, all throughout history. Amelia's story and the tragedy of her final trip around the world has captured people's imaginations for nearly a century. Her life has been immortalized in dozens of books, movies, and documentaries. Amelia also has another legacy that has left a major mark on American history: the way she inspired women to go after jobs in science and engineering, fields previously considered men's work. Amelia fought to prove that women were equal to men in the air. Soon after her death, during World War II, thousands of other women would take up that same fight in their chosen industries. Amelia's life is proof that our actions can inspire others. When we fight for equality, we can show people around us what is possible and help build a better world. The end. Okay, so the main idea of this book is about Amelia Earhart as she embarks on her second and final attempt to fly around the globe.